Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we are going to continue the unit solutions and we are going to start with gases in liquid solutions. So here gas is a solute and liquid we are considering water as a solvent. So this kind of solution was explained and formulated by Henry's and it is known to be explained by Henry's law. And he explained the solubility of gases in terms of its concentration in water versus the pressure over water as a liquid phase. So obviously this kind of a system we are studying in terms of closed system or closed container. So here it is gas and here it is liquid. A liquid we are considering as water and gas can be anything. It can be pure or a mixture of gases. So it can be a binary or ternary solutions depending on what gas we have taken. And since these gaseous molecules are constantly bombarding the liquid, so there is always an equilibrium between the two. So gas being above the liquid is in equilibrium with gas dissolved in liquid, and this equilibrium is there and that makes the amount of gas being constantly present in water. So according to Henry's law, the pressure of the gas, this gas which is above the liquid, is directly proportional to the gas dissolved in liquid. So this equilibrium has got a mathematical expression and the proportionality constant is given as Henry's constant for each gas, which is a function of temperature. So if you change the temperature, the KH value will change. So whenever you are given a KH value, it is always given or associated with some temperature. And this you know from your previous classes, this is a mole fraction. So this is pressure above the liquid or above water. Now here, depending on the, let us see what is the unit of KH or Henry's constant. So KH will have a unit of pressure upon mole fraction of gas. So pressure if measured in atmosphere, say, mole fraction has no unit. It is a unitless. So it is going to be atmosphere. Suppose you are given KH in terms of atmosphere per molar or atmosphere liter mole inverse, or written as atmosphere liter per mole. If this is the unit of KH, then it means the denominator is not a mole fraction but it is a concentration. So in that case, KH will become P upon concentration of the gas. So always take care of the units of KH given in the question. Suppose it is saying that nitrogen gas has a KH of 3.3 into 10 to power 7 mm of Hg. So this mm of Hg is a unit of pressure. So denominator, there is no other unit. It means it is a mole fraction that you have to consider in the equation. So this can also be written as KH into C depending on the unit of KH given in the question. So sometimes unit is expressed in terms of per molar or liter per mole, and sometimes it is just atmosphere. So depending on that, use the relation. Apart from this, let us see where the Henry's law is applicable. And how this can be used in certain applications of it. So, this is used to explain some natural phenomena and also applied to overcome certain issues which are over there. So, first is where does it applied for the explanations and where it can be used as an application to overcome some issue or a problem. So first of all, one of the very basic things that Henry's law tells is about the solubility. So as pressure is increasing, the mole fraction of the gas is increasing. So Henry's law states that as the pressure of the gas above the liquid is increasing, its mole fraction in the solution will also increase because the two are directly related to each other. So it means it explains the conditions of bends in scuba divers. So what are these bends? These bends are basically kind of cramps or blockage of blood vessels. So scuba divers are basically the deep sea divers who go inside deep waters and they dive there. So deep down the water, so this is a natural sea, ocean or something. If you go even say 20 meter below the sea level, the pressure there is almost 2 atmosphere, which is twice that of above the sea level, which is 1 atmosphere. So at such a high pressure, if the pressure is increasing, the solubility will also increase. Here we are talking about in terms of oxygen solubility. So they will inhale more gas. So whatever cylinder they are carrying, so they will have more oxygen in their blood. Okay, so this is dissolved oxygen. As they will come out, the pressure is again P out is 1 atmosphere. So therefore the solubility will decrease as well. So the excess amount of oxygen which is already present in their body will tend to move out of the body in the form of bubbles. So if they come out immediately, don't give enough time, then the escape of oxygen from the blood will not be feasible. So some of the oxygen will stay there, form a bubble, and bubble blocks the passage or the flow of blood in the veins. So that cause a condition of bent. So what is advised? Advised for the scuba divers is that come slowly. Take time while coming out from the deep sea waters. So slowly means take at least come at a speed of say 10 to 20 meters per minute. So in between take halts. That is one advice. So basically come slow so that the body gets enough time to equilibrate the removal of oxygen through your lungs, and then the problem of bent can be overcome. This also explains another thing, which is poisoning of CO. So poisoning of CO is, this is a very well known explanation that why one should not sleep with a closed chamber and an angithi or a coal burning in it. So if there is an incomplete combustion of charcoal, coal, then there is a production of CO gas. And since the solubility of CO is more than the solubility of oxygen gas, therefore in blood oxygen will be replaced by CO, and this is called CO poisoning. When hemoglobin that carries oxygen has less oxygen in it, it is the deficiency of oxygen in our blood. So this kind of poisoning is also able to explained by Henry's law. So there are other factors also, like how do a respiration works. Whenever there is a deoxygenation or a not enough amount of oxygen is there, then as we inhale the oxygen, that oxygen from the air, it is moved to the blood vessels or blood cells where the amount of oxygen is less. So higher concentration of oxygen is moving to lower concentration. So that's why they get oxygenated. So these are the natural processes which can be explained by Henry's law. So especially in this case of scuba diving, what else can be done? So this can be prevented preventive measure for scuba divers, means for the condition of bent or the oxygen cylinder or the air cylinder that they carry during the diving process is diluted with helium. So suppose normally in air we have oxygen and nitrogen. Oxygen is present around 20%, nitrogen is present around 79% by volume. So the oxygen is diluted with helium gas, and helium has lower solubility. So the person will inhale helium, but since its solubility is less, it will not dissolve in blood, and while coming out it doesn't has to be released because it's not absorbed or solubilized in blood. So it will eventually not be staying in the blood vessels, and it will not create the condition of excess amount of oxygen in the blood vessels. So even by inhaling more amount of air, he or the scuba diver is not inhaling more amount of oxygen because that oxygen has been diluted with the addition of helium gas in it. Secondly, there is also another way which is called by providing a special chamber to the scuba divers where the pressure is kept very high, and gradually the pressure of that chamber is decreased, and while doing so there is a slow release of excess amount of oxygen that was there present, and thus they come up from this condition of bend. So next let us see what are the factors that affect the solubility of a gas in liquid. The first factor, as I had discussed before, is temperature. In case of any gas dissolved in water forming a solution, this kind of a process is an exothermic process. Means delta H will be less than 0. And you have done this kind of a system where so I am representing this with equilibrium. So for an exothermic system, an increase in temperature will shift the equilibrium backward. This is what you have done before in equilibrium part that you studied in class 11th. So whenever there is an increase in temperature, the system will shift to the backward direction. Backward direction is the separation of the solute and solvent. So it means with increase in temperature, the solubility of gases in liquid will decrease. So this is also one of the reasons that the aquatic life can survive at depth of the oceans, because at oceans the temperature is low. So low temperature means more solubility. So there the amount of oxygen dissolved is more, that's why they can survive even at higher depth. So this is completely different from the solubility of solids in liquid or liquids in liquids, because in case of solids to liquids, this is exactly opposite. Higher the temperature, more is the solubility. And there is one more way of explaining this. Let us see how. So in case of this kind of equilibrium system where there is a liquid and gas, so these gaseous molecules are basically constantly bombarding this liquid. Upon increasing the temperature, this bombardment will increase. So more gases will come and bombard the liquid surface, or they will strike the liquid surface. So you can say more collisions will be there, because there is high energy, and energy we are talking about in terms of kinetic energy or the motion of the gaseous molecules. If this motion will increase, then water which is associated with gaseous molecules, so this is kind of intermolecular interaction. On increasing the temperature, this intermolecular interaction will break, and now gases are free to go out of the liquid. And if gases which are already dissolved in liquid, if they are going out to the gaseous phase, it means then the solubility will decrease. So because of the increased motion or increased collision of the gaseous molecules, the dissolved gaseous molecules will tend to come out of the liquid and will decrease the solubility of the liquid. Whereas in case of solids in liquid, the temperature is actually causing a break between solid-solid phases. This is breaking, and that's why solid is free to go and bind with the liquid. So that extra energy is associated with breaking of solid-solid intermolecular interactions. But here excess of energy which is given in terms of increasing the temperature, that is causing more motion of gaseous molecules, and that motion will tend to decrease in solute and solvent interactions. The second factor that affects the solubility of gases in liquid is pressure. And this is very well apparent from the Henry's law, since pressure is directly proportional to the amount of gas dissolved. If we increase the pressure of the gas, then the solubility will increase. This can also be explained through collision of gases, just like it has been explained for temperature. So this system is there. So gaseous molecules, on increasing the pressure, how can you increase the pressure of a gas? By increasing the number of gaseous molecules you can increase, because pressure is directly proportional to number according to ideal gas law. So more molecules are present to strike the surface of the liquid. So there are more chances of water to gas interactions, because number of collision between water and gas, that has increased. So there are more chances of forming some intermolecular interactive forces or bonds. So when there are more chances of formation of such kind of interaction, the solubility will also increase. So both has been explained through collisions. Here the collisions are of high energy, which are causing the removal of gas. Here the collisions are not of high energy, it is the same energy because temperature is fixed. It is only the number of collisions has increased. Here the temperature or the energy of collisions, you can say it has increased. So here the number of collisions, here the energy of collision. Now the third factor depends is intermolecular interactions. Intermolecular means the interaction between water and gas. So as we know, it is like dissolves like. For example, if I am talking about or comparing the solubility of SO2 and CO2. So which one do you expect to be more soluble? Like in case of sulfur, you have a bent structure, right? This you have done in your previous class where you draw the structure of SO2. So here in this case, the difference of electronegativity between sulfur and oxygen will create bond dipoles and an overall dipole of the molecule. So this becomes a polar molecule. This is a part you have done before in molecular shapes and chemical bonding part, class 11th. Whereas CO2 has a linear structure. So here the electronegativity difference is there. This is the bond dipole and overall the vector addition of the two dipoles is 0. So this is a non-polar. And whenever these two are dissolved or added in water, water is a polar solvent. Again, the reason is it has a bent structure and a net dipole moment. So this being polar will go in a polar solvent. So that's why SO2 will have higher solubility as compared to CO2. There are certain other factors also where the solubility of gases depend on solvent, but in this case it is purely the polar and non-polar part or polar and non-polar property of the solute being discussed. Similarly, CO2 is more soluble than nitrogen. Where you will say nitrogen is a non-polar, CO2 is a non-polar. How can CO2 is more soluble in nitrogen? So in this case we are talking in terms of, you must have seen or heard about instantaneous dipole moment, which stays there for a very small amount of time. So it's like whenever this kind of system is there, so these bonds are basically vibrating, they are not stationary bonds. It is not that if the distance between C and O, if suppose I am saying is 2 picometers or 2 so it is dot 2 picometer, it is plus minus some value. So this implies vibration of the bonds, due to which at some point of time this can be a smaller bond and this can be a larger bond. So because the bond lengths are different, it tends to occupy a dipole character, but that is for a very short period. So you can say it is an instantaneous dipole moment, and because of that it interacts with the polar water molecule, whereas no such property is given by nitrogen. So as I said, it depends on the molecules, but in this case depending on the structure of the molecule, yes, you can identify which is going to be more soluble or less soluble among the two. There is one simple law which applies to all gaseous mixture. It is not related to the solubility, but it is related to gaseous mixtures, and that is Dalton's law of partial pressure. That will come in handy when you are dealing with ternary mixtures. So when you have two gases present in water, this law will come in handy. So that's why it is important to know this law. According to Dalton's law of partial pressure means a part of. So a part of means you have the total pressure P. This is P total. And here we are talking in terms of two gases at least plus water. Whenever two or more means ternary or above kind of solutions we are talking about. So at least two gases are there. So suppose one I am talking circle and other is square, and this is the liquid. So this is the gas phase. So when two kinds of gases are present in a solution, kind of a ternary solutions, then this law is applicable, or it is also applicable when liquid is not there. Basically for the mixture of gases. It says that the total pressure exerted by n number of gases is the sum of pressure exerted by individual gases. So if this is gas 1, this is gas 2 and so on, then each gas will exert its own pressure, since we know pressure is directly proportional to amount of gas. So depending on the amount of gas present in the system, it will exert its own pressure, and each pressure can be added to obtain the total pressure exerted by the gaseous mixture as a whole. Right? We'll do more about this in the next class. But here it is important, then if you know the pressure or partial pressure exerted by gas 1 and the total pressure, you can always calculate the amount or the pressure of the second gas present in the mixture. Let us quickly go through one very good numerical which will take both the laws and will tell you the application of the laws. So the question says a mixture of oxygen and nitrogen gas in water. So basically oxygen and nitrogen gas is dissolved in water. When the percent volume of oxygen to nitrogen is 20:79 at 298 Kelvin. So calculate the composition or the amount of and you are given KH for oxygen gas and for nitrogen gas KH is given, Henry's constant, to be, this is 651. So try to solve it and look into the solution part of it, that I'll share in the next video. Do subscribe and stay tuned. Thank you very much.